Thanks to our studio audience for joining us today on Delmarva Life. To find out how you can become a member of our studio audience, visit delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab or call the number on your screen, 443-880-9116. Well, getting a lush green lawn requires water, but how much water is key? And these days, landscaping companies like United Landscaping have it down to a science, even when Mother Nature refuses to cooperate.
What doesn't come from the sky must come from the ground in order to keep a lawn green. And these days, technology assists homeowners to make sure their yards get the proper amount of water.
Years ago, when people first started putting irrigation systems in, the object was just to cover the lawn. They had no idea how much water they needed. They basically just looked at the grass. If it looked dry, they would water it.
Tony Nels of United Landscaping says most people probably don't know how much their lawn really needs.
Over the years, we've learned that every area has a general requirement for how much water you need. Our area, typically between 1 to 1.5 inches per week, and it depends on the soil, the type of soil you have. But generally, a good rule of thumb is about 1.5 inches of water per week is what we need around here.
And that's a general rule. There are many factors used to determine the exact amount.
Just since I've been doing this, technology has come a long way. They figured out more about, I think evapotranspiration has come.
Wait, what?
Evapotranspiration has come to the forefront.
Evapotranspiration is basically how a plant uses water.
It's a combination of evaporation, which is just natural water escaping into the atmosphere, but also plants, basically just like a human being sweats, plants do the same thing. It's called transpiration, and it's basically dictates how fast a plant requires water. The faster it loses water, the faster you need to put it back in.
That's why United Landscaping is installing more gadgets to make sure that your lawn is irrigated properly and no water is wasted. How many times have you seen someone's system running full steam during a rainstorm?
Basically, what we're installing today is a Rainbird rain sensor, freeze sensor combination.
That's where this device comes into play. Not only does it prevent the system from coming on when it's raining, it takes air temperature into account as well.
Obviously, if it gets too cold, you don't want your irrigation system to come on. I have seen people that left their system on too long and comes on and runs in the middle of the night, and it gets down to 28 degrees. When they wake up the next morning, they have an ice skating arena in their front yard.
Tony says devices like this one can come with many different sensors.
There are now soil moisture sensors that you install in the ground itself. There are all types of rain sensors, wind sensors. Everything comes into play to determine how much water your lawn needs.
So how does it know when it's raining?
It's got wafers inside that basically absorb the rain, and they swell up, they trip a little micro switch, and it shuts your system off. The system knows now that it's raining and water's not necessary.
The wireless device takes less than an hour to install and costs a little over $100. Tony says the Rainbird eventually pays for itself in utility costs.
The science in general for irrigation is unbelievable. It's pretty neat stuff, honestly.
A science that will allow you to have a beautiful yard without wasting precious resources.
And by the way, Tony with United Landscaping recommends only watering your lawn in the morning. He says there's less wind, so more water gets to where it needs to be. He also says any water that is left on top of the grass will eventually evaporate during the day. Well, still to come on Delmarva Life, it's a great time of the year to enjoy sweet strawberries. We'll give you a few ideas when we head into the kitchen this Tuesday. Plus, he's a familiar face in the world of news, and he now has his own talk show. Brian Spiro sits down with Anderson Cooper, what he has to say about work, his spare time, and so many other things. Delmarva Life, life at its best here on Delmarva.